Okay, so we replaced the fuel filler neck, is what it's called here, in a 1997 Toyota Corolla. If you need to do the same thing, use a Phillips screwdriver, take off these 4 screws, and a 14 millimeter should take this off. This is the latch where you release it on the inside and it pops this open. This may fall in. If it does, when you put it in later on, go to your trunk. You may have to have a second person help out. But when you reinstall it, you just may have to just reach up under here. You can feel where it will go. Put your hand in the back and push that back through. You'll find that sometimes you have to do that just to get it back in so someone can turn the screw on, because eventually you'll have to put this back on. So you take those off. If you go underneath the car, this is the new line that we put on. You'll see in some videos it says take this bolt off, which you can, but there's a permanent bolt right here, which makes it a pain. So you're going to take these 2 off right here. These are 10 millimeters. Take those screws off. And of course, anything you take off, I would put WD-40 on it so it can go back on. This car is quite old. Unfortunately, what happens is this bracket's like a permanent bracket, and you'll see up here, there's 2 lines, the main line and then the air return right here. Sometimes it has trouble coming off of this clamp because it will come off easier if you could take this whole thing off. So what I did was, since the car is 20 years old, you can see I dremeled this off to separate it. So now when you take this off, the whole clamp will come down. That will make the pipe come out a lot easier. It's much easier to do it like that than to try to jiggle it forever, because you can see right here, this is like a little weld, and it welds these 2 pieces together. The old one might be rusted out where you could break it apart, but the new one on, it won't fit on very well with this clamp if it's still stuck on there, thanks to this permanent bolt. So again, you could take this here, cut it off, just pull the whole thing down. It'll come off real quick. Here's a clamp right there. And then you'll see this small line here has another clamp right up there. I think they're 10 millimeter. You could also use a Phillips screwdriver. And it's a little bit tricky to get off, but once you go up there, once you get the hoses off, just wiggle it. It'll come out. And if you have to wiggle that, it'll come off. The last thing you may have to do, which is a pain if you have to, is you could take the tire off, because you can see how the pipe goes up here and the wheel well is right here, and it can kind of block it. If you can get away without having to do it, you'll save yourself maybe 5-10 minutes. But if you have to take the wheel off to get to this, it's not a big deal. You'll see that there's 3 screws here, again about 10 millimeter I believe, right here, and another one right here. That kind of holds the bumper. This one here is a little bit larger than these other 2, so just keep them separate. But take the tire off, and then this stuff will just peel back. And the gas line that goes right here will be right behind these things here, so the whole thing will be wide open if you have to do it. You may not have to, but if you have to, it gets things out of the way. So when you put the new line on, just reinstall it with the clamps. Keep those clamps handy down there. If they're rusted out, get new ones, but those are those 2 clamps I pointed out just a minute ago. Right there and over there. And then you just then redo it right there on that clamp right there with your 10 millimeter screws. And then you fit it back in here. You may have to do a little jiggling, but